Hi and welcome to the Hypnosis Academy. Today I'm talking about a really interesting subject, and that's self-harming. Self-harming. So, I'll tell you all about it on the other side. When I was studying therapy, I looked at a lot of things, and one of the things I looked at was self-harming. Self-harming, old style. I'll call it that, old style self-harming. What happened with people who used to self-harm? Obviously, they didn't like themselves at all. They had extremely low self-esteem, low self-worth. They would keep it secret. Self-harming used to be their biggest secret. And not only that, but the self-harmers would really, really self-harm. Like, you wouldn't believe some of the things that they would do to hurt themselves. And, cutting themselves so deep that they were reaching tendons and, oh my goodness. It was very, very, very a traumatic thing to study. But it was very clear that what was important for self-harmers was that they hid that. They didn't want anyone to, it was a very personal thing. Okay. So then what happened was this. About 10 years ago, it became fashionable to self-harm. Now I'm going out on a limb here. I'm using the word fashionable. What do I mean by that? Look, we've got social networks now, and everybody shares everything. Now, there really isn't any privacy anymore. So everyone shares everything. And so what happened was that, I don't know if you remember a group of people called emos, the emotives, or whatever they're called. They would wear a lot of black and be very sad. Okay? That was fashionable, to be an emo. Well, it's kind of from that place of, I'm very sad, that this new wave of self-harming came out, where people would start to cut themselves. And hey, they cut themselves, absolutely. But what I used to see, and I've worked with a number of people who self-harm, what I used to see were the cuts were quite superficial compared to what I was taught about self-harming. But not only were they superficial, but they also people became aware of self-harmers fairly quickly. They didn't hide it very well. Okay? Why? Because social media is a place you share, I'm down, I feel bad, I feel terrible. Okay? And so what I saw was this wave of self-harming, superficial self-harming, and sharing the self-harming. There are sites, there are channels where people talk about self-harming, the doing of it, and how it makes them feel and whatever. I watched one episode of a series and never ever watched it again, only because my daughter put it on. But it was called American, I can't remember what it was called, something American. But it was in one episode I saw every kind of sexual perversion that you could see, and other stuff like satanic stuff, and then also self-harming that came off. And the girl in the episode was self-harming, and her and her boyfriend, he was self-harming, and they were comparing scars. They were comparing and talking about it in a really positive way. And this is the problem that I've seen lately, that it's almost like it has been made to be positive. Oh, you feel sad? Well, you just have to cut yourself. You feel sad. Now, that doesn't take anything away from anyone who's self-harming. Self-harming is you've got to be in a bad place to be self-harming. No matter whether it's old style or new style, you've got to be in a really bad place. What am I saying? Well, what I've seen is over the last 2 years, the media And all of the other big groups have done something so vile and horrible to mankind, and especially to the young generation, which is they've taken away all hope. They've taken away all hope. If we're not going to die of a virus, we're going to die of climate change. If we're not going to die of climate change, we're going to die of starvation. If we're not going to die of starvation, we're going to die of water shortages. If we're not going to die of water shortages, we're going to die of alien invasion. And that's where they've got us. And that's where they've got young people. Remember, young people are far more easily influenced than people of my age. And so what's happened, and what I'm seeing, is that the level of suicides has gone up so high in young people. I know in my circle of friends and family, 2 young people who have committed suicide. Right? I've never ever known that before. I've never known people committing suicide. I've heard of them, but not within my family unit. And when I talk to people, I'm hearing the same story. So young people are checking out. Why? Do you blame them? When the media has bombarded them with lie after lie after lie, telling them that there is no future, that there is no hope. Okay? So what do they do? Well, they're in a bad place, and they're going to look for other people who are in a bad place, and they're going to find out what people in bad places do, and they're going to do the same. Right? There are tutorials on suicide now. Tutorials. So self-harming, right? What does a person need who's self-harming? They need some hope. They need to understand that this is not true, that there is hope. We've been here for X amount of God knows how many years. We're going to be here for X amount of God knows how many years in the future. So our job, I suppose, as therapists and parents and whatever, is to make sure that our children have hope. They must have hope. They must know that it's okay. And let me tell you just a couple of things that you can think about. If there wasn't any hope, it's still better to tell your children that there is hope. Why? Because if we're going to live on this earth, let's say that the earth's going to end in 30 years. We can either live 30 shit years, or we can live 30 good years. I think I would prefer to live 30 good years, living with hope, even though there wasn't any. You're not saving anybody by telling them that this is hopeless. You're not helping anybody by telling them that it's all bad. And especially with your children. As parents, we have a responsibility to give our children hope, to make sure that they can be happy about growing up in this world. This is a beautiful world, okay? It just has some awful things in it that are being said by some stupid people, okay? There's tons of hope. There's hope everywhere. So if a family member is self-harming, if a child is self-harming, your child, it isn't as bad as you think. It isn't as bad as it used to be. I see the new self-harming to be much more easy to resolve, and it's resolved through giving them hope, right? From helping them to get over the trauma of thinking that this world's going to end. We must help them to get over that trauma. The world's not going to end. And we need to help them to understand that. How you do that is, first of all, throw the television out of your house. If you've got children, don't let them watch television. Don't let them watch television. That's the first most important thing that you can do. The television is an extremely destructive and damaging thing. It destroys people's lives, yeah. Whether you like it or not. And if you don't like that message, I'm sorry, but that's the truth. The television does not give any hope. It steals hope. It steals your child's life. So there you are. Very serious topic, but there is hope. And there's hope for people who self-harm. Most people go through it. It's a very short phase, and they get over the other side and they're fine. And they realise, unfortunately, they've got scars on their body. that they have to live with, but well, there you are. We all have scars, whether they're on the outside or on the inside, that we live with. It's just a matter of how we get over that and how we move forward. Okay, so there you are. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.